Hi, my name is Jeff H. Sipe from PracticeInterviews.com, where we offer a host of services from practice interviews to negotiation strategy, and we have a course and self-automation tool coming out on April 1st. In this video, we are going to cover a behavioral answer with Alejandra. Alejandra is interviewing for an MBA internship role in Mexico City. And so Google has a variety of internships. Lots of interns get hired at Google, but the MBA internship, it casts a pretty wide net, and there's just a lot of opportunities in this space. So we thought that this would be a fun subject area for us to cover. And we get a ton of requests from our community to do these sample answers. So I'm going to play the recording with Alejandra, then highlight the areas that she did well and maybe some opportunities and areas where she could grow specifically in this answer. Lastly, I want to really spend some time when we do these types of videos focused on some of the softer skills, because remember, our words, they only make up a small percentage of our success. So we'll cover a few of the other items like lighting, body language, etc. If you like my content, please like. If you have any comments, please comment below. And if you like my overall content, please subscribe. I want you to tell me about a time you had to manage a large set of data. Can you tell me what happened and what were the results?
Okay, last year when I was working as an HR training coordinator for my company, that it's Pemex, it's the largest oil and gas company in Mexico. We manage more than 120,000 data from employees. And specifically being part of the HR training division, I had to develop an annual report with all the information, all the training information of all the employees on the company. So the time that I had to manage all this is when last 2 years I had this report. So the first thing that I did was I thought that I needed to unify the 5 units. We were divided in 5 different units in the company. So the first key element for me was to have one unified session, just to let them know, to all the independent units, what we will need and what was the purpose of this annual report. So in order to do that also, I prepared a standardized format, understanding what information they had in their independent units. And with this format, it will be for them very easy to gather all the information that I needed, because being a government company, we had to comply with third parties and we had to present annual audits. It was a crucial part of our process. So after developing this format and after gathering this meeting with all the different regions of the training departments, I executed the meeting, and it was very easy to let them know what we needed in terms of the data for the annual report. We even ran some examples of how to fill the format, and we had some follow-up questions after that unique meeting, just to make sure that everybody understood the goal and the way that the information needed to be presented. So in the end, we had the format on record time. Instead of 1 month that it was the usual time, we had the format in just 2 weeks with the information that we needed for the audit process.
Okay, so let's break down Alejandra's answer piece by piece. So let's start with the situation and task. So timing everything, and this is a great way to practice, the situation and task was 1 minute and 2 seconds. So my preferred timeline on a situation and task is about 30 seconds, but on our initial behavioral answer, we're going to need to give a little bit of context on our role and our organization. So That will always take a little bit longer. Every time you introduce a new role in a new company in your behavioral answers, you're just going to want to give a little bit of that context and setup. So the fact that it went a little bit longer, that was okay. And Alejandra specifically did do a good job of presenting her role in her company. We had a good idea that she was an HR coordinator, focused on the training component in the training division. We also knew that she was working for Pemex, which is the largest oil and gas company in Mexico with about 120,000 employees. So that was really well defined. She also last let us know, as we got into this task section, that she had this annual report, and the way to unify the data was to really bring the top 5 units of the organization together. Again, this was the task. Now, 2 areas where I would recommend Alejandra improves in this part of her behavioral answer would be, I want just a little bit more of a definition of the data materials, the data we're looking at. It's going to be really helpful for me to have success and connect to the answer. Secondarily, I want to understand why unifying all these parts of the organization was so important. So just a couple little data points in there would have made that situation and task pretty close to perfect. Okay, let's dive into the actions. So the overall time on the actions was about 1 minute, 41 seconds. I like a couple minutes on actions. So this was falling right in the wheelhouse for the expected amount of time to spend in this section. And the first action was very, very good. If you go back and watch that part of the recording, you can see that Alejandra really talked about what she created by creating that one unifying session. She defined the needs and purpose. She standardized the format. She created understanding and helped the audience understand the importance of compliance. So this is where we got a little bit of additional context on Pemex and that it's actually run by the government. And so there are a couple of opportunities that I would have liked Alejandra to just expand on a little bit. And one was, and a big one that I want you to always be thinking about is, put me in the room. So what does that look like when you unify everybody? Is that via video? Is everybody physically present? Are we actually doing a presentation? Are we doing workshops, breakout sessions, whiteboarding? How many people are there? Just a little bit more connectivity, because once I have that visual, it's going to be great. And secondarily, just a little bit more insight into the data would have been helpful to get me connected. So just a few data points would have made this basically the perfect action. Now the second action, we got a little bit more into the doing and data. We learned and understood that there was some sample data provided and a strong cadence for follow-up. Okay, these are 2 great items to take me past that meeting and what happened afterwards. But there are a few areas where I would have wanted to understand a little bit more information. This is where the second action could have been bolstered. I would have maybe wanted to understand a little bit more about the collection of data. Do we need to do any testing and identifying that data was really correct? And then obviously just a finalizing of all that data would have been helpful. And of course, when we put all these things together, I always want you to be thinking about how you document it. How do we document this so that it could be utilized in the future? Results and learnings. So the overall time on results and learnings, 19 seconds. And for results and learnings, I really want that timeline to be about a minute. So this is a section that Alejandra definitely could have bolstered. Now, she really nailed that one key result, which was in working with this large data set, the amount of time to get the data in was cut in half. So she really identified the true value of what she did, but what was missed was the repeatable item. So it's just a pause moment as you're going through your behavioral answers. A great thing to do is ask yourself, okay, what was repeatable? And specifically, I would have wanted to know if this documentation or this type of process could be shared for other types of trainings. Could this process with unifying the teams be shared in other divisions, other departments? So that would have been really helpful for me. And of course, if there was one learning that could have been implemented here, I always love learnings. It's a really strong way to end your answers. Makes your interviewer feel really confident and great about you. So lastly, one of the things that happened, I think you probably heard it in the results, was there were some chimes or some sort of background noise that started to go off as Alejandra went into her results. So we need to not only think about it distracting our interviewer, but Alejandra got a little distracted by that background noise. And I think and believe that that caused her to cut her answer a little bit short. So of course, it's a great reminder. If there's anybody else in the household, you just need to let them know the interview is taking place. If you have any sort of clock, anything that goes off on the hour, just have the awareness of it, because when it pops up, it will distract you, and that's really important that you stay on task. And obviously, we don't want our interviewer to be distracted either. So the last piece, and as we go through and present some of these types of videos, we're going to really focus on background, light, and body language. And so the background, pretty clean. The light was pretty good. There was a little shadowing on the side of Alejandra's face. That's okay. That's pretty natural, but I could really see her eyes with the lighting. Your ability to see the person's eyes is very, very critical. And then body language. You could see Alejandra was thinking, but then she was really creating that fantastic eye contact, and I felt very connected to her on her answers. So overall, with a few minor tweaks, I feel like this could be a very, very solid example. Obviously, it had impact and broad scope. I just wanted a little bit more connectivity to data and how she communicated and collaborated with those key stakeholders. And again, this would be a great answer. So what's the key here? Practice, of course, and the offer. We are going to be offering these free sessions. It's in the YouTube description below, so you can click on it, sign up for it, and we will be running these free sessions. And if you're willing to go on YouTube like Alejandra is, we think that there's some value in seeing sample answers and seeing other people's answers. I really hope this helps. Thanks.